The difference between a good salesperson and an excellent one lies in just one word: negotiation. It is the most challenging and anxiety-inducing process in sales, as it is where the seller's power of persuasion is most put to the test. Commercial negotiation is an art whose mastery can open all doors for you and enable you to close every sale, all with a smile as a bonus. However, being a good negotiator is not something that can be improvised, as this art requires a deep understanding of certain sales and psychological techniques, along with a good dose of on-the-ground experience. But don't despair if you lack either, as you will find golden tips in this video to boost your sales, as well as foolproof tricks that will make you the best salesperson in your company. So here are some proven methods to become the top seller. And we begin with the most basic yet essential advice: preparation. Because it goes without saying, but it cannot be emphasized enough, preparation is extremely important in any sales process. Being prepared for a job interview or a business negotiation allows you to bounce back on your interlocutor's arguments, as you have already anticipated them during your preparation. This involves a meticulous study of all the ins and outs of your case and a perfect understanding of the context of things and events. A good salesperson will always be prepared to face all questions and respond in a completely spontaneous manner, which is a guarantee of honesty and professionalism towards clients. But being prepared also means having a proper dress code and maintaining an upright and vigorous physical posture. No one will trust a salesperson with a neglected appearance who doesn't even have the strength to stand straight or raise their voice a little to be heard. Now that you have prepared yourself both physically and mentally, it's time to face your client and try to close the sale. However, try to step out of your role as a salesperson for a moment and instead take on the role of an advisor or consultant, if you prefer. By doing so, you will establish a trustful atmosphere with your client, who will no longer see you as an adversary but rather as a valuable ally. Indeed, instead of trying to push your products at all costs, to the point of solely focusing on them, you should, on the contrary, try to take an interest in your client and their own interests. Ask yourself this question: if I were in my client's shoes, which product would have been the most profitable for me? By answering this question, you will also address your client's concerns, and you can then propose the product that will be most advantageous for them. They will then have no choice but to sign the contract, as deep down, they know that what you have offered is genuinely what they needed. Listening is the third amendment in the constitution of a good salesperson, and it could indeed have been the first on the list given its importance. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so logically, you should listen twice as much as you speak. But in the case of a salesperson, listening must be done with particular attention because it largely determines the outcome of the sale. Indeed, it is through speaking that the client can reveal their buying intentions, as well as their feelings about the product, their expectations, and sometimes even their most intimate convictions. In short, they open up to you. If you know how to make people talk, you can easily identify your prospect, and you will have almost all the information you need to conclude your sale. Active listening requires practice because there is always a temptation to interrupt our interlocutor to speak, but one must learn to restrain oneself. Speak only when your prospect is silent, and if you do speak, it should only be to ask open-ended questions that encourage them to open up to you more. Save closed-ended questions like yes or no for the very end of your conversation, and only when you are at the stage of finalizing the sale. Whatever sale you aim to close, nothing can happen without the approval of the final decision maker, and that goes without saying. The crucial thing for a good salesperson is to identify the right contact, the one who holds the decision-making power. Because, as all telemarketing veterans will tell you, there's no point in shouting at the secretary or the assistant. It will only be wasted saliva and energy. Save your sales pitch and arguments for the right person, the one who can ultimately sign the contract. By identifying the decision maker from the start, you will spare yourself hours of fruitless negotiations and bitter frustrations. You don't want to be that salesperson who argues for an hour, only to be told by their interlocutor that the deal sounds tempting but that they are not the person in charge. You probably remember that scene from the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, where Jordan Belfort, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, asks candidates to sell him a pen. Each candidate then presents their own arguments to convince Belfort to buy the pen, such as, it's a beautiful pen, high-quality ink, neat writing, etc. The candidates who participated in the exercise naturally sought to demonstrate the product's features, advantages, and benefits, using the most basic method, namely the FAB, feature, advantage, benefit, approach. However, the best asset you can have in a sale is the prospect's need. If you identify that need and address it, the deal is in the bag. But you also need to know how to create the need. So, when Belfour asks you to sell him a pen, you could simply say, "Sure, but before that, could you please sign an autograph for me?" Of course, the pen he needs to sign is the one you're holding, and there you go, you've created the need. A good salesperson knows how to find compromises, but an excellent salesperson knows how to say no. Because in a business negotiation, knowing how to say no is crucial if you don't want to end up selling at a loss or giving away your product for next to nothing. Thus, when a request from your prospect or client seems entirely unreasonable, don't hesitate to reject it. You should be firm but polite in your refusal, and if you're clever enough, you could even try to use your own refusal to make a counterproposal. The key is to never accept an offer that doesn't suit you, even if you think it would contribute to customer loyalty. Opportunists and other marketing parasites may tell you that a good salesperson doesn't lie but doesn't disclose the whole truth. It's a thinly veiled insinuation suggesting that a salesperson might be inclined to withhold information from a client if they believe it could jeopardize the sale. However, the reality is that a good salesperson is honest above all else and will never lie, even if their sales figures are at zero. Indeed, it is better to sell nothing at all than to deceive people without any scruples. So, if the product or service you are offering has some flaws, you should definitely not hide them from your client. You might think that by doing so, you're shooting yourself in the foot, but rest assured, by being perfectly transparent, you will establish a trusting relationship with your prospect, and they will hold you in high esteem from then on. One might think that time works against us in a sale, but it's quite the opposite in reality. The advice here is to take your time and, above all, not to rush, risking appearing pushy and hasty to your prospect. A good salesperson will never show signs of impatience or frustration and will never glance at their watch when negotiating. Even if the sale extends over time and days turn into weeks, you should always adapt to your client's pace. You need to convey the message that you are calm and confident in your product or service, and that you are not engaged in a frantic race against the clock. How many sales have been cancelled at the very last moment simply because the business negotiation became too contentious? So, a little advice, my friends: stay calm from start to finish and put your nerves in the refrigerator. Never express your dissatisfaction and, most importantly, don't let it show on your face and in your tone. In essence, do or say nothing that might lead you into a verbal clash with your prospect, inevitably leading to conflict. Be firm but accommodating and understanding, and above all, demonstrate empathy towards your client, so they never see you as an adversary. Talking too much is an ugly habit that will only bring trouble in life, especially if you're a salesperson or a commercial professional. You can express yourself, of course, but do so sparingly because people listen better to those who speak very little. Be concise but expressive, brief but sharp. In short, the less you use your vocal cords, the stronger your chances of sealing the deal. However, don't exaggerate by falling into excessive silence, as you still need to keep in mind that you are the sole master of the negotiation, and your voice is that of reason.